Officially, good morning. Welcome to the Monday Market Kickoff with the Market Watch Group. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. Sad day indeed. Indeed. I don't know how it works. Is the next one already in line? Is it like a hierarchy? Is there a divine revelation? And then they're chosen? Is there an election? I'm super curious. I guess I'll follow it. There will be a person elected. Oh, okay. Okay, an election. Understood. Keep in mind, this is for illustrative and educational purposes only. Nothing we ever do or say should be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any financial security or product. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. What are we going to do today? Let's look at the opening futures. We had a pretty good sense of what we were looking for, what we have, what our trade that we have on, what we'll be looking to take next, and I think it's in line. So we'll look at that. Futures are down though. Morning, El Jago. Good to see you. Mindset for open trades, as I said. What do we have on? What are we looking for? Is there still day trade opportunities? What does the early opportunity list look like? And what trading plan are we working on? So let's get to it. Okay, let's start with the futures. We'll start with the futures. And what do we see on the futures? More down. So you can see the futures here on the ES are down 1.15%, which supports the trade. We have a trade on until Wednesday. Just a short-term trade. Now, this bearishness for me, whether you were looking at the bodies, the candles, or the shadows, but bouncing down from here certainly feels like there's that much potential. But the trade I put on, I didn't even need that much. I just needed to sort of sit here for 3 more days. That's until Wednesday. 1, 2, 3, and I needed to stay below somewhere around that level, maybe even higher than that based on the other one. We'll go to this SPY and we'll look at it in detail. But this is what we said. If on Monday it opens down, great. That's a good start. We know that doesn't necessarily mean anything. If it starts down and ends flat, great. If it starts down and ends bullish, I'm going to be like, ooh, I don't love that. And really get more potentially aggressive with my exit, where I'm like, okay, because 2 things will be happening if that happens. Number 1, the bearish move that we thought might drop from here down to here, if it fails, what do we have? We have a higher low. And that triggers a whole different thought process. And so right now, even though we are still, let's check in on our market posture for those who weren't there. And good morning to those of you arriving. Good to see everybody. What's the deal? We stayed flat. So you can kind of see those. And if you're new, you see where we get into these types of situations, right? Where our posture breaks down. We were very bullish up in the 7s, and then all of a sudden it broke down to 4, right? And it's like, okay, then what? Then we got a little stability. We were in the 4s for a little while, 4.5, 5, 4.25, 4.25, 4.75. And there was good trading in there. Was there great trading in there? No. There was good trading in there. The great trading was back there when we were in the 6s and the 7s. Then Then we broke down, right? And all of a sudden, when we had that breakdown, everything changed for us. We were wondering, and it was right on the precipice where there could have been a bullish breakout, but it wasn't. It broke the other way, and we had it break, and from that point, everything has changed. How much risk, much more cash, every aspect of what we're looking at doing. And now what? Well, we were flat for a little bit. 1.25, we were stuck in the zeros. 0.25, 0, minus 0.25, and then another break. And that's where we are now. Just kind of waiting to see what happens next. Right? Waiting to see what happens next. Now, if it's a break to the upside and we see our score jump from minus 2.5 back to a minus 1 or a minus 0.5 or something along those lines, that would we be thinking bullish trades? Yeah, absolutely. We know, and if you're somewhat new, there's something we have an understanding of within this market, and that is there is a powder keg of buyers and FOMO, as evidenced here on this candle. We know it's still there. It would love to be bullish. There's plenty of buyers. There's plenty of cash still. The institutions have plenty of cash. So, regardless of, everyone, and again, I get it. People want to talk about the fundamentals, and they are important. I mean, we do want to understand, what's going on with things like corporate earnings, I believe we have a big slew this week. That's what we're going to be trying to understand. And of course, if there's any updates on the yo-yo trade war, where we just aren't quite sure if it's up or down or putting on or taking off, and are there deals or not deals, and is that the objective, and yada yada. So in the meantime, what do? We trade what we see. It's that simple. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. If you've never heard it, this is something that I've probably said 1,000 times. As a trader, you have to recognize the difference between what you think, what you feel, and what you see. Think, feel, see. And then throw out what you think and feel. Get rid of it. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares what we think or what we feel. What do you see on the chart? So that's what's important for us. Here's the SPY. The expectation, as you can see up here, will be opening closer to 521, which is about here. It's not a huge move down. We're right around the top of this candle for give or take for strikes. So the thought process is that's where we would like it to be over the next 3 days, is underneath there. If it breaks to the upside, I'll shut it down. That's it. That's that trade, and that's what I'm looking for now. And it's a good open, but I'm not in any way thinking that means it's a guaranteed anything. I have to watch it, follow it. If I don't have the trade, I won't be able to put it on because it's now 3 days later and 1% lower. So sometimes people ask, is it too late? Yeah, on this one it definitely would be, because part of that trade was catching a 3-day weekend, right? We put it on. There's the open. We put that trade on, and we got 3 days of time, and now we got the 1% bump in the favor. So that should look pretty good. And we'll see from there. But what else is setting up right now? It's not, like I just said, it's not a huge move down. The other thing that we're looking at that was facilitated by this big FOMO candle that sort of caused a lot of traders and investors to tip their hand, right? Oh, well, we don't want to miss out. What are we going to do? Now we have this, it's a big pull. That's buyers. There's what we'll find ourselves doing as traders is saying things like, well, that doesn't make sense. And as soon as you do that, you should catch yourself and remind yourself that it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to make sense. But the most famous, broad picture of this that I like to point out is the term irrational exuberance. Right? You've probably heard that term. Irrational exuberance was used to describe the tech bubble, the bull market in the late 90s, the .com, by a brilliant genius man named Alan Greenspan, the Fed at the time. Now, he talked about irrational exuberance, but here's what's interesting. He made the comment in 1997 at the end of the year. And in 98, it was an amazingly bullish year. And in 99, another amazingly bullish year. And then in 2000, you got a few good months in there, right? So if he had traded that saying that everybody loves so much, he would have blown himself up. If he's like, yeah, this is irrationally exuberant, I'm going to short this market. He would have blown himself up as a speculator. Now, ultimately, it proved correct when the NASDAQ lost 80% from April 2000 until whatever it was, June 2002. 80%, right? Yeah, irrationally exuberant was correct. But the timing of it, if you're a speculator, is very different. So, the concept of like, oh, it's overbought. So what? It could go more overbought and then even more overbought. So that we want to be careful with the limiting concepts that we have where we're like, oh, well, it's overextended. Well, it could extend further. So anyways, what do we think about this market then? Well, what do I see? I see a big bunch of buyers regardless of what was there. And now what do I see? The selling cycle is in place. We saw it happen. We're in it right now. Could it accelerate all the way back down here? Of course it could. And this would just fall all the way back. Yeah, that could happen. But could it also stop and just pause? And then just all of a sudden we see a buyer's day start to come in. What happens here? Well, that's a low. That's a support level, which is higher than the previous. And we're going to have a number of stocks, of which some of them will be leaders, like Apple, like Palantir or NVIDIA, like MasterCard, like Goldman Sachs. So what am I thinking? I'm thinking technology. I'm thinking financials. Maybe consumer discretionary. Some of these growth sectors, and finding growth, like leaders in growth sectors that are showing this pattern that if they do it, they can bring the market with them. That's the key, right? If you just have some random stock that's showing that pattern, yeah, okay, maybe. Or maybe it just falls apart. But if it's a leader that can, if Apple does it, that's 11% of the NASDAQ. It's gonna help the rest of the market, and that's why we look at it that way. And so that for me right now is absolutely my mindset. Bearish overall, yeah, I'm slightly bearish. I have more bearish on, looking for the downside, but I also have to see the other side. Right? I have to see the other side. And that other side shows me that there was a surge of buyers. There was a surge of buyers, and then there was a minimal so far. We're in it. That's what we're evaluating. To go. So yes, Papa Burgundy, number one, I love your name. And my apologies. Because on yesterday, I got swept into Easter very quickly after. That is my fault. 100%. I own that. I usually will post them and send the email. And I just ended up like swept into the day. And so I apologize. I will actually post both so that you can watch that as well. And then usually what's happening is it's within 2 hours. Thursday or Friday. So Friday is not missing, Steven. Friday, I did record it, but there was only 2 people. So we really didn't cover. Anything. It was like a 30-minute chit chat. Like, so I'm like, this doesn't really make sense to post that. So, and no, you didn't interrupt at all. I have an ADD mind. So if you think it, you need to say it. Then I'll put it at some point. I'll find it. Sometimes it's the minute of, sometimes it'll be a little bit, but anyway, those will get posted. I'll get caught up, and that's my apologies to the group. I will make sure that I get those posted, and I'll get this one on there as well. And if you're new, I said this yesterday as well. Make sure you watch the 6-part little, they're like 12 minutes where we go through each of the components that give us our market posture, and you can see why we orient around that. So anyway, yes, thank you, Sandy. Welcome, newbies. We love newbies. We love bringing you in and hopefully just building our group, continuing. So if this is what we see midweek, then my expectation would be a couple of bullish alerts this week. I would love that. So if I could script it, this is what I would script. I would love for this thing to just sort of pull back a little slowly, sit for a day or two. My bear call expires, and then a little turn, get a couple of bull trades on, off we go. Sounds like a plan. It sounds like a good plan. I think we could all dig into that, have a catch a little something, get a little meat off the bones. Yeah. Anyways. Okay. For those of you who didn't see it, let's just run through. Nothing changed. And I think if you watched last week's trading, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Nothing really happened last week. It just sort of went up and then back down and finished where it started. It was not any volume. And so you can kind of see that right now the long term is just sitting around a neutral. We're waiting to see if a trend starts to pick one way or the other. Short term, basically the same thing, but with a little bit more of a bearish orientation. Volume is flat. Major market's pretty nasty. It's clearly showing small caps and NASDAQ at the bottom and the Dow mostly in favor. Sector rotation is actually okay. There's does show utilities and consumer consumer staples, but it also shows communication services and what was the other one, you guys? Financials? Yeah, communication services and financials were kind of lurking around like, oh, well, there's some growth loitering around, ready to pop maybe. VIX obviously doesn't look great. I mean, it's well off its highs, but it's still sitting at 30 on the pullback. So, yeah, right, isn't it, Steven? I always find myself making observations like that, where it's like, oh, this is where it's so interesting, where one component can just sort of be where you find, a beacon of some sort. And then it shifts as the market shifts. And then you're like, oh, now it seems like it's here. But it's helpful to have that, right? Beacons are obviously helpful things. Okay. Let's, we never really popped into Yahoo today. So let's just see what we're talking about. Stock slide with Trump's tariffs and Fed bashing in focus. Can he fire Powell? Who would replace Powell? So it looks like there's a lot on that political front. We have NVIDIA, AI chips. So we've got some chips. And waiting for some earnings. So there's the flavors. As we would expect, tariffs, political drama, some chip sector information, and then earnings. That's what we're watching. Let's just take a peek at the economic calendar. And today, leading indicators, nobody cares. Tomorrow, we have 3 Fed speakers, none of which we care about overly. And then on Wednesday, the market watch group's favored Fed, Chicago, Austin Goolsbee. Oh, he's our favorite. Although this is a good one, Alberton Mursalam. I don't know. That's a good name. Not a lot of news. That's the point. No one cares about home sales right now. The beige book could be interesting on Wednesday. Because we can get a little bit of insight into the breakdown of the internals of the Fed, of who's, what's the numbers, what are they talking about? What's the concern? And I think that there's clearly concern in that regard. When it came to interest rates, he wants the rates to go down. Well, I mean, right now he wants them to go down because it'll help the market go up, right? But like as we all know, rates are tied to inflation more than they are the market. So on the cusp of tariff prices potentially rising, the Fed simply can't take the chance. I think that's inarguable. So, okay, let's go look at our watch list and see. How's the day trading? It's not been great, right? If you look, this day was not great. This day was terrible. Right now, we're just sort of getting started. We'll see what this opening range looks like. So we're just sort of, the sellers opened the market and are now continuing for the first 3. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go look at our watch list. What are you carrying? That's a question for you. Are you carrying trades? So here's the thing. You're like, oh, the market's down. Look at Apple. Does Apple... There's the buyers. They made this big move up here. That was a hell of a move of buyers. Look at all the volume associated with that move. Beautiful. Now what? Now the halfways of these still holding up. The sellers have the floor. Does this look like what we would think would drive it dead? This is what we're scared of, right? Those chunks right there is what moved it from here to here. Was in those 2 little windows. Boom, 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 boom. 4 days, from 240 to 170, right? The rest of this was just kind of trying to figure it out. And now what? Well, now we V'd. That's definitely a V. Let me switch my colors. I'm going to do Apple because I think Apple, as big as it is very... representative, right? And that's a great observation, Stephen. That the windows is where the volume is. There's nothing, one day of volume, but for the most part, nothing in there. And then there's the volume again in the windows, right? Same kind of a thing. Now what? Now we look at the selling. Does it look like that with these big chunks of volume and these big red candles? Boom, boom, boom. No, it looks like they're like, oh, we're trying our hardest. What do you see? I see weak sellers. Could they all of a sudden accelerate? Of course they could. If some bad news comes out, yeah. I can't just wait for that news. I gotta just continue trading what I see. So if it sits here and then it sits here, and this thing comes down like this, and then all of a sudden we get that turn, boom, boom. And you can see my stochastics is making a higher low. My price is making a higher low. I could put a trade on and have a nice little take profit level and maybe even be aggressive where I'm saying, hey, let's see if this thing can catch. Why do I think it could make that kind of move? Like we said, we know the FOMO capacity. We know the FOMO capacity that this market has shown. It's still there, the institutions and retail. That big move on that day, on FOMO day, we'll call it, right? That showed that's not retail traders. Retail traders can't push the market like that. That was a hell of a lot of institutional traders as well. So what we know is that the institutions also have some FOMO brewing. Great. It's just a seasoning we're putting into our stew just to make sure we have that accounted for. That doesn't mean anything other than what is the likelihood that if I see this, I'm going to take it. Absolutely, that helps. And I'll look for a couple of different areas, technology and financials, and maybe consumer discretionary, something like that. Thoughts? Questions? Does that make sense? Goolsby on Wednesday. You got it. Goolsbyforfed.com. Okay. AbbVie, no, right? This is different. That doesn't look like what we just saw. That looks like it's still trying to figure some things out. It's got earnings. I'm going to keep watching a number of things on my list. It's hard to just clean the list because we're not sure what we're cleaning for yet. So I'm just kind of watching some things, but it helps me stay oriented. This is obviously a healthcare stock. I'm not super interested in it. Healthcare was quite strong for a while there and then just fell off the cliff. I just want to make sure I have something that helps me to see that. AEE. There's a few like this. What's the difference here? I have that same kind of a big move up, small move down, like a flag type pattern, and it's back above the 50, which is always something that I'm like, hey, look at that, back above the 50. Just a nice little bonus. So this would be something I would consider. Amazon, no, clearly not. It tried. And then what? It's giving it all back. Not all the way, but most of the way. So no, I don't feel like that's one that we're thinking looks good. Baba looks choppy. Not enough to be enticing yet. Bank of America. So Bank of America, big move up, flag pattern now. Financials. So Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, something in the banker broker area, and then possibly you could look at credit, MasterCard, Visa. Those are two strong areas in the financial sector right now. BX, that's financials. That's not the same, right? That just still looks like it's sitting in that downward consolidation pattern. It's subtle, but we have to see it. Something like this is just nothing to me. It's just kind of flat. I'm not looking to trade bullishly. I'm looking to see if I can find leaders that would entice me to want to trade bullishly. CIN is probably a no for me. CLS, maybe it looks pretty strong. I mean, that's a pretty good, but you do have earnings coming up here, so you don't have a lot of time. The Merck, Got earnings. Got to be careful with that. CNP, earnings. Cisco. I wanted it to stay at this halfway point. I liked it. We'll see. If it drops much further than where it is, then that's it. It's gone. I don't care anymore. If it's showing the pattern, we'll stay in interest. The second we see it stop, we lose interest. We don't think, oh, well, I just spent 4 days watching this. I should probably keep. No, we don't care. Well, it's fine. We don't care. It's gone. Well, if it shows something again, we'll start watching it again. Delta. There's the Dow. Duke Energy. So utilities are still pretty strong. If this has a minor pullback, I would say anything above like this, that's tradable. If you're in it because you traded the last pullback, which you could have done back here, you're probably thinking about taking profits if you didn't already take some last week. Fastenal is one that I like. Had a real nice earnings report. Market loved it. Broke out, got up to this new high. Kind of almost a cup and handle, right? Where you have this high and this high. If we have this pullback, there's an old resistance and a halfway of a big candle right there around 78. That's my mark. A pullback at or above that would turn into a trade for me. Absolutely. Fastenal is a great leader in the industrial space. That would be what I would want to see to reinvigorate some industrial trading. FI, earnings. A lot of earnings. Flex. Actually, Flex is kind of an interesting one to me. You can see here, I would have said the same thing, but when it dropped all the way, all bets are off. If it goes up here and it only pulls back like this, that's a different pattern. That's a horse of a different color. Okay. No, for Fox, GE Vernova is one I've liked, but it's got earnings. I really liked this one. It kind of busted up here. We'll see how it comes out of earnings. Gilead. No. Gold. Oh my gosh. Tell me at least some of you carried that gold trade. I was thought I was a genius when I took profit at the first target. Clearly, clearly gold is not one I trade a lot. You guys know that. Okay, I thought maybe it got there. So I got out right here on a Friday at 50 or a little below. And then the next day it stayed, and then it was a little higher. I don't know. Is anyone still in there gold? I hope so. Let me know if you are. I think we're going to have trades this week, though. Google. So you see how Google's it's just a little too far now, I feel like. Maybe, and then you have earnings. Still in gold. Well done, Kami. Look, I booked a hell of a gain. I'm not going to lie. It was a great gain. That's part of why I took it. But, yeah, I wish I was too. Goldman, I like. It's up doing here. Looking for that pullback. Goldman could lead some financials. Financials can recover quickly, too. I can tell you that. Where you're like, oh, what? Financials look terrible. Then all of a sudden, a month later, you're like, oh, my God, financials look great. That's why I want to watch Goldman. I want to watch Bank of America. I want to watch Visa and MasterCard. And Robinhood. I like Hood. Kind of that broker space. Whoops. Bad line. Hold on. There's the flag. It's got earnings, but I still have time. We'll see what happens. That's a maybe. Oh, I got to go a little faster. Howmet, I like. Yeah, there's things on the list. And if we have this, if on this pullback we get a little bounce, there will be bullish trades, at least one or two. And then we'll see what happens. Coca-Cola. Wow, those defensives really did just all of a sudden turn back into favor. Here's MasterCard still setting up. A nice little V-style pattern that if this thing flags and goes, I would definitely be interested. Meta, nope. Right? Nope. All right, let's get to the rest of these. This week we're working on record keeping. If you haven't done it, make sure you download Morgan Stanley. I would put Morgan Stanley with Goldman and Bank of America as leaders. Download trade logs. Stock log, option log. Even if you're paper trading, get used to the record keeping. Get used to the data. You need that data. So important. So important. I wanted this one to hold. It hasn't as of now, but maybe, but it's looking less inclined. Netflix looks good, but needs a pullback. They just got through earnings. We'll see what happens. And I had a good trade on that not long ago. NVIDIA, a little more pullback than I'm looking for there. Looks like PLTR. That's the flag I'm looking for. We're watching this. We'll see if this thing pulls back. Clearly, people want to run it to 125. If it gets any hint of it, I think there's something there for us. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Philip Morris, good trade. Almost to earnings, almost to resistance, I would say. Nothing there for me yet. Reddit, no. Rocket Lab. RTX is flagging and has earnings. It's a tough market. If you're feeling a little uncertain, you're not alone. We're down about 1.5% now. So this is, if we get a solid Monday, if we get 1.5% today, the likelihood of our bear call finishing out of the money and expiring worthless looks good. It's a good 2-to-1 over a week. We'll keep an eye on it though. Would I look at TJX as a growth stock? I would say so. It's retail stock, consumer discretionary. Let me pull it up here in just 1 second. If you spend the time on the logs, you get this. And this is what we need, this data here. This dashboard, these little columns that can help us to see and recognize patterns of where improvements can be made, what we can do with it, etc. How we can connect posture to, results to posture, how we can assess our risk and our loss to risk ratio. I mean, there's just a lot of things in this data that's going to help you. Toast I like for financials. That's financial processing there, payment processing. TPR, no. Tesla's dropping into earnings. That was one I was bearish on. I think those earnings could be nasty too. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. TSM, not looking good. It's Palantir or nothing. Twilio, no. Visa, whoops, nope, I missed it. Visa, yes, I still like Visa, but you got to be careful for earnings. I still like Walmart on the flag. I think Walmart's a good one for us to be paying attention to. Let's look at the VIX, and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, that VIX, and again, we're not going to be shocked if it turns up. It looks like it is right now. And if it turns up and it moves up like this, that's not going to shock us either. But if it doesn't get very far, that is a bullish, that right there is going to help push 2 bullish alerts out. I'll tell you that right now. If we get that little upswing and then a lower high on the VIX, that's great confirmation of ongoing de-escalation from our institutional friends. And when they de-escalate, we've got plenty of cash. They're gonna move in. We know they're there. We know they're ready. Okay, there it is. TJX. Sorry, I almost missed it. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. I think we're in a good place. I think. It looks fantastic. Let's add it to the list. Good call up. You guys know we love beautiful bullish stocks that show strong buyers. Just recently broke out of this level here, got to a new high. It's pulling back. Consumer discretionary. It's a little bit of an iffy sector, but we've said that we're kind of looking for something out of that. So yeah, nice. I love it. Good call out. Anyone else want to throw a beauty at us just to wrap up the morning in a positive fashion? Yeah, I think we have a good, it's not a good market, but we have a good read on what the market is. What is that going to help us do? Not over trade. A lot of people have been over trading, I promise. If you know anyone who trades, ask them. Ask them, be like, yeah, how has it been? It's tough. It's all right. It's a good market to learn. Good market to process in a group setting like this. I love that we're processing. It's super helpful for me. It's good to see everybody. I will be on EMB. I'll throw it up. Is that a symbol? Let me. I'll be on tonight for an hour. Just Q&A, whatever. Beautiful. Enbridge. That's oil, right? Or energy? Gas? What is it? Feels like it's energy. I like that. I'll put that on the list. Oil. Yeah. ENB. Got it. Love it. 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour. We're going to be really dialing in the trades. I mean, you can start to smell it already, I think. PLTR is just, it smells delicious. I can just taste it already. Some others that are setting up for us. Subtle, I think. What we're seeing in the market is subtle. But I think that there's enough developing that we can, move into a couple of trades with more confidence than it's been tough to trade confidently, right? I would say. Which is all right. All that means is control your risk a little better. All right, you guys. See you tonight. Have a great rest of your day. As always, happy trading.
Recording stopped.